Hello, thank you for joining North Kansas City Hospital's Navigating the Holidays. Today we have Cammie, who is a dietitian at our Total Weight Loss Center. She is going to be talking to you about these difficult times and getting through the holidays and how to stay on track. So I do need to let you know that we are recording this and it will be placed on YouTube later. You can ask questions at any time in the chat and the Q&A, but we will not be answering those or going over them until the end. But please feel free to go ahead and enter them as they come up in your head, and then we will address them at the end. So with that, Cammie, I will hand it over to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Shanna. Thank you all for joining tonight. Again, my name is Cammie. I'm a dietitian here at the Total Weight Loss Center. And today we are going to be talking all about how to navigate the holidays. All right, so to get us started, I just want to talk about a few goals with healthy eating. The first goal would be to make sure we are eating 3 meals a day and snacks if needed in between those meals. What we don't want to do is skip meals and get super hungry, and then we tend to overeat at the next meal. We also want to make sure we are eating a variety of different foods and colors. If you've ever heard the term eat the rainbow, that is something we like to say. And also selecting foods that are going to be high in fiber, such as like those whole grains. Then we want to monitor our portion sizes to avoid overeating. And a few good ways to do this would be to use smaller plates or bowls. We can use visual cues. For example, we always talk about 3 ounces of protein and that looking like the size of the palm of your hand or the size of a deck of cards as well. And then we can always use that hunger fullness scale and kind of plotting how hungry we are on a scale based 0 to 10. So in general, the foods that we do want to include in our diet are going to be your fruits and vegetables, whole grains, beans and legumes, nuts and seeds, our fish and poultry and lean meats, and then our healthy fats such as our unsaturated and omega-3 fats, which can be found in foods like your olive oil, avocado oil, nuts, seeds, and avocados. And then the foods that we want to limit include our sodium and our saturated fat. So saturated fat is going to be found mostly in your red meats. So we just want to make sure we choose leaner cuts of those meats, and then dairy products, maybe choosing lower fat dairy products as well. And then we do want to go ahead and avoid those trans fats that are going to be found in a lot of baked goods and those partially hydrogenated oils. So party season is upon us. So we are entering that time between Thanksgiving and New Year's where there are lots of social gatherings happening and lots of food involved in these gatherings. So we just want to remember that we can still enjoy this holiday season and stay on track with our healthy eating habits. So today we're going to be discussing 5 tips to holiday eating. The first one is making sure we are planning ahead, and maybe that includes bringing a healthy option to these gatherings. Number 2, we do want to watch out for our portion sizes and use that portion control. Number 3, we don't want to be afraid to get rid of the extras, so maybe that's sending them with a family member or anything along those lines. We want to indulge guilt-free by eating mindfully. And then number 5 is making sure we are staying moving through this season. So first of all, we want to make sure we are bringing a healthy side or dessert to these gatherings. A lot of times the foods that are served at these types of gatherings are going to be higher in fat, higher in carbohydrates, and in calories. So if we can bring a healthy side dish, then we know that we are going to have something there that is going to be good for us. So I do have a few examples of some things that you might be able to bring with you on the next few slides. Maybe that would be a guiltless green bean casserole. This way you're getting in those vegetables or this sausage, apple, cranberry stuffing as well. So feel free to take some screenshots of these if you want to. I'll wait a second here. And then there are a few more on the next slide as well. So we're going to have those roasted Brussels sprouts and then some garlic roasted carrots. So it's always good to bring a good side of vegetables. That way we know we have something there for us that we can all indulge in. And then desserts as well. There are healthier options when it comes to desserts. You'll see these two recipes here, your apple crisp and then your chocolate cranberry pumpkin cookies. They're going to use more honey and maple syrup for their sweetener. So that might just be a little bit better than that added sugar. So number 2 is that portion control. I don't know if you've noticed, but I feel like we all tend to eat more at these larger gatherings and through the holiday meals. So we just want to make sure we are watching those portions and kind of eating what we would normally eat throughout the year. So this will allow us to sample all different foods and then also kind of thinking of it as like a sample platter. So if you're a type of person who likes to try a little bit of everything, that's definitely okay. Just make sure you get a small bite of each thing so you can try everything. Or if you're a little bit pickier person and you kind of know the things that you like, you can stick with that as well. And just keep in mind, moderation is key to everything. So we also want to make sure, again, we are eating 3 meals a day. We don't want to skip those meals. If we do this, we tend to get super hungry and then we will overindulge because we are so starving. So if you're having your big Thanksgiving meal at your dinner meal, make sure we have a good breakfast and a good lunch still. Or whether maybe we're having our big meal for lunch, we still want to have that breakfast and we still want to eat later on in the day. We don't want to go too long without eating. So let's talk about turkey. It's not a holiday without turkey or ham sometimes. So this is always going to be a great option for us, right? So turkey and ham are great sources of lean protein. Yes, you are going to have your white meat and your dark meat. White's going to be just a little bit better for us, but dark is still going to be okay. Go light on the gravy, maybe do a little cranberry instead. And then peeling off the skin can always help save some fat and calories as well. So a few portion control tips. And the best way I think to do this is to use the plate method to keep your portions in check. So if you think about a plate and if you kind of divide that plate up in fourths, we want a fourth of our protein or a fourth of our plate, that lean protein. So probably your turkey or ham at this kind of meal. The big part of our plate, we actually want half of our plate filled with our non-starchy vegetables. And this is going to be anything except for those potatoes, peas, and corn. Those 3 would actually fall under your starch category, which would fill up the last little fourth of your plate, along with any whole grains, so any like stuffing or rolls or bread or anything along those lines. And this next slide here has a really good picture of the plate method. I think it's beautiful. You see you have your turkey there, that lean protein. You're going to have that half of your plate filled with those vegetables. You see the green beans. It looks like we have some sweet potato as our carbohydrate and the little fruit on top with our cranberries. All right, number 3 talks about getting rid of the extras. So there's almost always going to be leftovers at these types of meals, especially if you are the one kind of doing the serving and the cooking. Don't be afraid to get some plates and serve them up to give them to family members or neighbors or anything like that. We can always get rid of them. No need to keep it all in your house because that causes a lot of that temptation. Definitely, we do want to have that cookie on the day or whatever it may be. But what we don't want is for that to kind of linger on through the next few weeks or days. So I always tell people it's a holiday. It's not a holiday month or holiday week. So it's one day. So during that day or that meal, it's definitely okay to, have that dessert or whatever it may be. But then try to get rid of it and moving on with our healthy eating habits. So this is a great way to use up those leftovers if you're looking for something. These are stuffing muffin cups. So you use that leftover stuffing, cranberry, and turkey as well. All right, so number 4 is eating mindfully. So when eating mindfully, we want to make sure we're consciously thinking and making decisions. We want to take small bites, really slow ourselves down at mealtime. When we do this, we're going to feel our fullness faster. So maybe that's even eating on a smaller plate. Maybe that's taking a bite, then setting your fork down and making sure we're chewing that food really, really well. We also want to eat attentively. So turning off the TV, maybe that's putting the cell phone down. Really try to engage with the people that you're with, because the holidays are not all about the food, but they're about the people that we're with as well. Mindfully check in with your hunger level. I like to talk about something that we call the hunger scale, which is a scale from 0 to 10. 0 is you are so hungry you feel like you're going to pass out, and then 10 is you're so full you feel like you're going to get sick. So we really never want to get to that 0 or that 10 feeling. I always say try to keep it in between that 3 to 7 range. So once we start feeling some hunger, we want to honor that hunger, have a snack, have a meal, whatever that may be, and just eat till about 7 where we feel full and satisfied, but not overly stuffed or uncomfortable. And then observe your thoughts at meal times. We don't want to be negative or constructive. Keep your eyes focused on your plate. Don't worry about others and what they're doing, but just focus on you. And number 5 is get moving. So during this holiday season, we want to maintain a consistent exercise pattern. So there's lots of outdoor activities we can still do when it's cold, such as sledding, ice skating, skiing, or snowboarding, even going out and just shoveling the snow. We can do online at-home workout videos. There's YouTube these days that has lots of stuff on there. Walking or jogging. If you have a gym, you can always go there. Even cleaning the house counts as physical activity. Maybe we go out and play a game of football in the yard with all of our family members, whatever it may be for you. But your goal or the recommendation for exercise is going to be 150 minutes of physical activity per week. So just keep that in mind and do your best during this time frame. So just a few takeaways from today. We can always bring a healthy side to a gathering. We don't want to be skipping meals. Definitely eat before you go. We don't want to get to that point of starvation and then we tend to overeat. Be mindful of those portion sizes and really try to use that plate method to fill your plate at these meals. Be mindful of food choices. And last but not least, get active. So just remember, you can do this. Don't let the holiday season weigh you down. This is a happy time of year. Listen to your body and make mindful choices. All right, so now I would love to answer any questions that you guys have submitted.
Okay, so let's see. Do we have any questions? I have one while we're waiting.
Yes.
I have always heard eat the rainbow as well, but why is it just not good enough to have like a salad a day?
Yeah, so different colors are going to have different nutrients in them. So your greens are going to have different nutrients than like your orange foods, like for example, like carrots and sweet potatoes, that sort of thing. They're going to have more of that vitamin A in them. And then dark leafy green vegetables, they're going to have more of that vitamin K. So just different nutrients and different colors.
Okay, so I know my family well, okay, I'll just say it. We're food snobs.
Mhm.
So when I do things like throw kale into a casserole, that is not very well received. Do you have is are there any things that we can substitute out the bad or less desirable things like butter or anything like that, and people won't know? Can we trick our family members?
Um, I think in some ways you can. In some ways, it might not just be the same, and you can definitely tell. Um, for example, this has nothing to do with like Thanksgiving or anything, but I've substituted ground turkey for ground meat when doing like tacos. Since you use all the taco seasoning, I can't really tell a difference. It's really hard to tell a difference between the beef and the turkey when you have all the seasoning and stuff in it. And so we know it's just going to be a little bit leaner when we do the ground turkey versus the ground beef. So it depends on, I guess, how picky your family is and how much they are paying attention to the things that you are changing.
Okay, so what do you think for the day of Thanksgiving or Christmas? How what should our eating look like? I know you said to eat three meals. Um, so would that be maybe a later breakfast or what how would you work that in if you have like a 3 o'clock dinner?
Ah, good question. Um, Definitely. So our other meals might be a little bit smaller since we're trying to work around that. But we do want to still try to get at least something in 3 times. I always tell our patients, like even a protein shake can count as a meal or a protein bar. Depending on how early you get up, maybe it's a mid-morning breakfast, and then you have your 3 o'clock, and then maybe you eat something a little bit later, like at 7 o'clock at night. Obviously, if we're not feeling super hungry, we can just have something a little bit small. I usually suggest some protein. Um, Maybe you just have an extra piece of turkey before going to bed or anything like that.
Okay, and then I have one more for you.
Yes.
Actually, I just lost it. Isn't that great?
Oh no.
I know. Um, so if it's cold outside, do you have any recommendations on how to get moving maybe after the meal?
Yeah, good question. I would say just like trying to find like an indoor activity or kind of even a game to play. Maybe you have kids around. I was, babysitting the other night, and we were kind of stuck inside, and we were playing hide and go seek tag. So we were all up kind of moving around. So whatever that might look like for you, you could do those indoor videos that I was mentioning or anything along those lines.
Okay. And how do you feel about seconds? How should we work our seconds? Because I don't know about you, but I try to get a little bit of everything and then almost like attack the stuff that I really liked.
No, I like that. So yeah, you kind of taste test everything, figure out what you like, and then you'll kind of go back in that stuff and get all of that. And I think that's totally fine. That's a good way to do it. But what I do want you to do is when you're going back for seconds, make sure you plot yourself on that hunger scale. Are you full? Are we satisfied yet? Or are we still actually hungry? So really try to think about that before you go get those seconds.
Okay. And I think this is our last one. So, I'm sure we've all heard that turkey has the chemical in it that makes you want to go to sleep. And
Mhm.
I don't suffer from this, but I know that there are people out there who absolutely love their turkey. Is there anything that someone can do after they've had too much turkey to maybe work that off or work off some of the negative side effects?
I would suggest just maybe going for a walk. I call them digestion walks to kind of help get things moving through. Maybe when we've eaten a little bit too much, it might help make you feel better. It might help wake you up too, so we're not kind of feeling sluggish and tired afterwards.
Okay. Well, Cami, thank you so much for installing your wisdom on us tonight. I cannot wait to gather with my family and have some good meals, and I know that I will definitely keep your words of wisdom in mind.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me.
All right. Have a good evening, everyone.